I know why that you're a little sour on this show, and I liked certain things that I normally wouldn't like. And I want to talk about those. I got a song I got to sing, and I'm going to sing it. But first, we got to get to my, I think, favorite part of the show, which you would have thought that you would have bet money I didn't watch the women's war games, right?
DraftKings. That's right.
Well, yeah, but see, there's where you're wrong, Brian. I'm one step ahead. Wild card is because I'm still. The idea of a women's war games is ridiculous to me. If you had told Dusty Rhodes in 1987, we're going to take your greatest gimmick match and we're going to put 10 women in it, right there, he would have wanted to shoot you. But then do it right before the men's match. He would have tried to run you down with his fucking pickup truck, baby. They have manufactured a reason to have these girls in this match with these rules just because they feel like, well, if we're having a men's war games, we got to have a women's war games, like a men's Royal Rumble, women's Royal Rumble, and a men's whatever the fuck. Because the war games in the main event, the men's match works. It's bloodline versus bloodline with extra big star. It's not that they manufactured a reason to put women in a war games match, which, as I mentioned before, is ridiculous to begin with because, goddamn it, yes, Liv Morgan may be a wonderful heel and just a wonderful little actress, but if she's in the goddamn thing, it ain't that fucking dangerous.
Oh, she's a whole lot more believable than the work of some of the other people in this match. Oh my God.
We're going to get there too. So the concept of having the women's war games, I believe, is ridiculous because it just diminishes the idea that this is the most violent, horrifying thing, et cetera, et cetera. It's also that there was no reason they manufactured to shoehorn this in because they had to. And when you know that they're going to have a girls' match like the guys' match every pay-per-view on all these, then when they start doing the angles for it, it's obviously phony. Because again, most of the time, the better angles and better drawing matches are ones where you don't just already know, we got to have this kind of match. Let's find a reason for these guys to have it. That the stipulation fits the crime. But also, now I've come up with another. We don't have to get mad at them having a women's war games match because it diminishes the men's war games and makes it look less dangerous or whatever, because we didn't have to worry about that. Because with this women's war games match, they established that women, men, children, donkeys, whatever, if it's war games, it must be phony. Because this was the phoniest thing that I've seen on at least WWE television in quite some time, and the worst work. I mean, there are a few individuals in this match, which we'll name in a second, that you want to see under normal circumstances, but God almighty, this was a mess to the point where it fascinated me and I couldn't turn away from it, and I had to keep watching it. And I hate to hog the microphone on this one. I'll give you a chance to take a swing at this piñata.
Well, it's a bad transition. She brought up hogs, but I was going to say Nia Jax is the worst women's wrestler in a major position for a company in a very long time. She's bad at everything she does. She's bad at the basic stuff. She's bad at everything. Now, with that said, Naomi, who I've always liked because, she glows. She just lights up, and that lights you up.
I think you've been lighting up if you like her.
Well, what I was going to say is no matter how much she lights up your life, she also was pretty bad. I mean, even Bayley at times, I'm like, yeah, Bayley's good. Bayley's stunk in this too.
Yeah, see, but you're saying no matter how much Naomi lights up your life, Debbie Boone was a better wrestler.
Maybe she was a better worker. I don't know, but this match, that's why I didn't think you were going to watch. I thought you would have seen the opening few minutes. If you lasted until Naomi got in there, which was the third person in, from the babyface side, she was in. I said, as soon as Naomi got in there, Jim said, then I fast forwarded.
Well, no, I must say that there were times where I was not paying close attention to the trivialities in the middle, but I tried to view the high points because for the folks who don't know, it was Bianca and Naomi and Bailey and Io Sky and Rhea Ripley against the Refrigerator Jacks, Candy LaRue, Tiffany, Liv, and Rochelle. And Rhea Ripley looks like a movie star and a superstar. And her gimmick, not only her regular gimmick, but now with the broken orbital socket or whatever, she's got the mask, but she had a horror movie mask. She just looks great, right? We can't dispute that. But the rest of them, and I know Bianca in the right situation. Liv, we know she's a heat getting heel, but goddamn, Candy LaRue in the WarGames.
Did you see that
Need
moonsault?
I say more?
Did you see that moonsault she hit when Bailey was on the chairs?
I didn't see one she hit.
Okay, so you did see it.
Maybe she did two of them, but
you know what the funny thing was? She didn't hit it, and then on commentary right away, Corey Grace like, "Oh, she hit it right on." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, and at the same time, Bailey rolled off 3 seconds afterwards to try to sell something. But no, we'll get there. But that's the thing. In the WarGames, Candy LaRue, she's not a high-level athlete. She's not a great worker. She's not a great talker. She doesn't have a great look or physique or striking size. She's just indie, bland, boring indie. And halftime, she looks like she's confused. The same as her husband, who they're the male and female representatives of bland, boring indie. And I know they need a stooge because Jax is surrounding herself with stooges, but in the fucking WarGames. And like I said, Liv gets heat with me, but I can see how she gets heat with the fans too, because the angle with Dominic and the promos that she does. And I believe the promos, the whiny, bitchy Valley Girl, whatever the fuck, more from Liv than from Tiffy. Because I think Tiffy just gets heat with me on the overacting of the whole gimmick. It's not really, you can tell it's not really her. It's just, she's blatantly trying to be an actress.
Yeah, no, she's really good at performing the fake Tiffany Stratton character with that fake talking style that does not appear real at all, no.
Liv, you could almost think, boy, she's certainly a fucking see you next Tuesday of epic proportions. See, I didn't even make you edit that for YouTube. But anyway, I swear to God, when they started out with, who was it? Was it Fridge and Bailey?
Yes, those were the first two.
Yes. And again, it's hard to do anything when you're trying to work with a fucking recliner. There's only certain ways that gravity is going to make it fall over. And you just got to be along for the ride. But it really got going for me. And I said from the opening bell, but actually I was going to try to give it a minute. But when Naomi came in, that's when the hits kept on coming. Literally. Because
to Naomi's face.
Well, they had a deal that every time one of the girls entered, she would stop and get under the ring and pull something out and throw it in the cage. So now they've got, after, 7 or 8 girls, they've got all the chairs and a table and the garbage in the ring. But Naomi comes in with a kendo stick and a toilet seat. And then half the time, whatever they brought in, they would put down and somebody'd use it later. But she's wearing a birthday hat because, Brian, I know many of the fans might not have known this. It was her birthday. So she's going into they said it on commentary.
Happy birthday.
So she's going into the cage for a 10-woman war where people are trying to mutilate each other, wearing her fucking hat from her birthday party with a toilet seat and a kendo stick. And from this point, as soon as she steps in with this shit, and Michael Cole called her Tiffany.
That's right.
Michael Cole calls her, well, here's Tiffany's in. And then she takes a big swing and hits the fridge with the kendo stick in the side. And it bounced back and hit Naomi in her own fucking face. and knocked her own birthday hat off. And I said, oh, I got to watch some of this. Oh, my God. And so, I mean, it was like, bam, she hit Jackson aside, and it bounced back, and bam, just hit her right in the side of the fucking face. And the hat flies off, and she sells it like she's stunned, like, oh, shit.
Because she was?
Yeah, because she was. And then she tries to get on the fridge, but the fridge comes back and gets Naomi down in the corner and is trying to put the toilet seat over Naomi's head, but she can't figure out how. She's trying to put it over her head without raising the lid because it's the toilet seat and the lid is still on it. And there is the fridge not being able to figure out the basic function of a two-piece toilet seat. And finally, she got it over Naomi's head. But then somehow within seconds, Naomi had come back and put the seat on her and rubbed her ass in the fridge's face over the top of the toilet seat. And anytime you know,
I always liked when Fez did that.
I think it's one of those things that he learned from Strangler Lewis. And then, did you see the double backdrop where they almost all died?
That's a way to put it, yeah.
So, and again, I understand what they were trying to go for. The fridge is a big young lady. So if two of the girls double backdrop her, it's reasonable that they should be able to do that. It doesn't kill her aura as a big giant, but it's impressive to see her take that bump. Whatever, they had good intentions. But Naomi and Bailey try to double backdrop Jax. And I would assume that Naomi and Bailey have probably not teamed up on a lot of double backdrops, but they were too far apart. Really, until you get the hang of it, a good rule of thumb is lock arms with the girl you're standing next to, whether left arm or right arm, like you're square dancing, but on the same side. Because they were too far apart, and when the fridge came in to get her base, because she jumped into it and she was trying, but she needed two shoulder blades, one from each girl, to put both hands on for the push-up, and they needed to stand straight up. But instead, because they were farther apart, she didn't have both hands on both girls at the same time. I think she lost it on Naomi. And so they stood up under her middle and boosted her up anyway, but then she was headed straight down head first with gravity taking its toll. And she barely got her head tucked before she landed on it, while at the same time, the two girls who double backdropped her, Bailey fell forward. And I don't mean like on purpose. I mean, no, she fell from pushing the weight. She was off balance enough because she ended up with a lot of the weight on her because she slipped, Jack slipped off Naomi, that she fell forward onto her face without being able to catch herself. While at the same time, Naomi took a bump backwards because since she stood straight up and didn't hardly have a lot of the weight on her, she lost her balance and almost fell on fucking Jax's goddamn face. So the whole thing looked like a monkey fucking a football. But I've never in 52 years, whatever, of watching wrestling ever seen that exact chain of events happen where two people gave another person a double backdrop. The person who was backdropped was almost hurt, and the persons who did it fell in different directions. Has never happened before in the history of wrestling.
That's the great thing about the modern era. You're seeing things that you never saw before, expanding wrestling's horizons.
They're certainly getting higher.
What are you thinking if you're in the back by the monitor producing this?
I don't know, because we can talk about some of these high points, but just a lot of the regular work, if you can call it that, was off. Even the people, as you said earlier, that are normally kind of okay, it was, there was a lot of sloppy shit. They're also, the girls, there's only been 8 women's WarGames matches to begin with, so none of these girls had been in many, if any. But I mean, just people not being able to punch each other in a convincing fashion, or not being able to just arm drag or scoop slam smoothly without it. In some places, this really did look like a fucking real fight because it looked like people weren't on the same page. And that's what Candy LaRue was next in, and she pitches 2 chairs in, and the fridge gets the chair, and there comes what you were talking about earlier. I have never seen any professional wrestler of either gender, genre, any size, fake hit people with chairs like this. And she went to hit Naomi, and Naomi put her hands up like she's going to block it, but Jax held up like she was scared all of a sudden, like, oh, I was going to hit her in the wrong place. And then she fucking hit her with a fly tap one place, and then it sounded like bam, like she hit her on the point of her shoulder bone with another one, bam. And then every time she would use these chairs, it was like a senior citizen trying to swat a fly with a newspaper or something. Have you ever, what the fuck was why do it?
Those looked really bad. Again, Nia Jax was really exposed in this match. She was the first one in. She was exposed in this match just how bad she is at some of the basics, including wielding objects.
And then,
right? I mean, that's man,
yeah,
I've seen, Lance Storm, I saw do that once at the ECW arena against Rob Van Dam, and the crowd started groaning. And they didn't want to, but you couldn't avoid it because when they look that fake, that bad, it's bad. It's bad. And Nia Jax didn't know how to do chair shots.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Your chair shots, they suck. Oh, yeah, they're bad. They're bad. Come on. You're kidding because they're bad.
That's kind of in your key. I'm not going to complain about this.
Okay, well, thank you, Brian. So then, when she still continued hitting people with the chair, now I sound like Mickey Mouse. Aha!
You sound like Jim Cornette.
Aha! We're gonna get you, fucks.
Well, back to the women's war games. This is a serious battle between teams.
It's a serious battle for survival.
Do you remember the war games when Tully Blanchard came in with his birthday hat on?
No, I think a fan threw a cup of ice and knocked it off. He was about to. But no, so, by the way, when Candy had come in and got the 2 chairs, and the fridge went on the spree of chair swats, Candy had lifted up the skirt of the ring and showed like 5 tables and there's toolboxes, and we saw the fire extinguisher. And they had so much stuff in so many different places that several of the girls would get lost trying to find what they were looking for. And it looks so stupid when they're being called in to help their team in this fight, and They don't get in a goddamn cage. They start looking under the ring and then can't find shit and start looking in 2 or 3 different places. Fuck, just come in here and help. The fuck? Anyway, that was when that they set up a couple of chairs in the middle of the ring in a geometric formation. They've learned this. They studied astronomy and how the ancient Greeks used to line their chairs up in conformity with the astrological signs. And then they make Bailey lay on it for 10 minutes or so. And then Candy did her moonsault that you referred to earlier and went right over the fucking top of her. On the way by, she put her hands down on Bailey's stomach. But she cleared. It was like she did a handspring off the ropes with a handspring off Bailey and then landed on the other side of Bailey. I don't know how much more description I can give to the other fucking side of Bailey.
And I'm thinking that looked like it missed. And then on commentary, Craig is like, she hit that perfectly or whatever he said. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, because her hands were, it was a flying double upside down Mil Mascaras vertical chop.
That's what it was.
Is what it was. But at least none of Bailey's weight or none of Candy's weight landed on Bailey. But so then Bianca came in. And the first thing she got was the garbage can, which I thought at this point was apropos because not only just the people, Keystone Cops, Gilligan's Island shit, hitting themselves in the face with things, but just the general, nobody can get on the same page. And then she also brought the fire extinguisher in, did Bianca, and then the table, and she went to look for other shit, and it had already taken forever, and then they just got the camera off of her for a while. And then she and the fridge, Bianca again being she, tried to get fancy with the spot with a chair. And what was Bianca was going to climb up and have the chair and going to flip. And I don't know what the fuck they were doing. Did you see that exchange?
I think I know what you're talking about, and I don't know what they were trying to do either.
But yeah, they got too fancy. It again, in the Kung Fu movie that they saw in their minds when they were coming up with this horse shit. Oh, that'd be cool. And then Tiffy came in with a trash can and a lid. So at least she's trying to be neat. And they did some more shit. And EO Sky came in. And this was where because by this time I'd kind of tuned out on the horribleness and the awfulness, right? And I've kind of zoned off on making notes. But here come EO Sky. And she ran all the way around the second ring to the exact place. Now, these other girls have been looking for shit. They can't find it. But the one purple trash can, it's a special purple trash can. She went all the way around and found that. And it had ropes attached to it so that she could hang it around her neck and climb to the top of the cage while carrying on her back the purple trash can.
Smart.
So she gets to the top of the cage and Candy is up there trying to fight her. And so she leaves the trash can on top of the cage and she gets in a fight with Candy and they end up doing or try to do a spot where EO Sky is above Candy and Candy is standing on the top rope. And you get what they did. It was going to be that EO Sky was going to do the old sunset flip power bomb, but EO's coming off the cage and Candy's coming off the top rope. And well, EO came over her back and tried to do the sunset flip and Candy didn't go. Candy just held onto the goddamn cage standing on the top rope, and when EO Sky landed on her feet down below Candy, and you could tell Candy looked back like, oh shit, she went already? And then it's too late, and EO Sky turns over and slaps fucking Candy on her ass. Like, you didn't fucking go. And so she just wasn't there when EO went to do the deal. So EO climbs back up and she knocks her off some other kind of fucking way. But, and EO's guy was laughing. Like, what the fuck? Did you forget to goddamn fall down? So then Tiffy and EO did some cartwheels. And then Rochelle came in. She'd come all the way from Minsk for this. And she put another table in the ring and then started looking for something else and finally I think she just got in. I don't know. And finally Rhea Ripley was in next. And they figured out a way to fumble this. I mean, again, if I had sat there and taken careful notes on the previous 10 minutes, I'm sure we could come up with some more examples. But this may be the most egregious what the fuck. They worked, and somehow they thought this was a good idea. They worked a deal where Jax and Rochelle, the two biggest women in the ring, were the only ones up when Rhea was supposed to come in, and they would stand her off so that she couldn't come right in. And so then what she did was she grabs a table on the floor and is trying to slide it in. And I guess she was going to use it as a battering ram to push these people back. But then Rochelle grabs it and is trying to hold it, and they're going to try to do the teeter-totter spot. But Brian, to get a teeter-totter, where does the tipping point have to be? The fulcrum or whatever it may be. But the tipping point on the teeter and the totter has to be in the middle, in between teeter and totter, right?
That's usually how a seesaw works, yeah.
Well, they didn't see what I saw because the table was only like a foot in the ring, and Rhea tried to do the thing where it bounces up into Rochelle's face, and she sold it anyway, but it didn't go anywhere. And then she just came on in, and the heels pummeled her, and in another fucking ironic situation, hit Rhea Ripley with the toilet seat. So you've got one girl really in this match that is a money-drawing megastar. And she gets the pops, and she has the great matches, and she sells the merchandise, and she just delivers performance after performance, injured or well or whatever. And when she gets in the ring for the WarGames, it's with a botched furniture spot, and then you shut her down and hit her in the head with a fucking toilet seat? No, because she should have been fucking running people from one side of that cage to the other till she got to goddamn, somewhere or another, the numbers got to her. But so by that point, the crowd was not happy at that point. The live audience, they're all 17,000, however many hundred. And then they did a big 9-way where everybody was doing everything. And not only is Bianca using her ponytail to whip people, but did she have two ponytails? One of the other girls was using one?
No, I think she was using Bianca's one ponytail also.
Whoever, God damn it. It was some of the most awkward bullshit I've ever seen outside of wrestling class, and some of those. And then finally, everybody was down except Rhea Ripley, and now it's time for Liv to come in. And boy, you know what? It would have been great if they'd have just got Rhea Ripley in there and let her make a 2-minute fucking comeback and then have everybody down. But then Liv would come in. They'd be in the same place without some of the worst part of the fucking match. And she is scared shitless, is Liv. So she runs out of the arena and comes back in with a baseball bat. Because I was thinking at least Rhea is still up and live, and Rhea can rehabilitate herself in this thing. And then Rhea and Liv have the face-off, and Liv has the bat and swings, and Rhea ducks, and did it boot it or whatever? Liv drops the bat. And then before Rhea can get a hold of Liv, the fridge stops Rhea, and they get some fake heat. And then the heels held Rhea, and Liv hit her in the stomach with the baseball bat 7 times in the gut and twice over the back. And Brian, would you say that I'm a larger human being, and potentially in my younger days, about almost 20 years ago, I was probably stronger than Liv Morgan is, right?
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
Especially when I was carrying around 240 pounds or so.
You were larger and more than likely stronger, yes.
And I've hit people in a working context in a wrestling ring in front of fans with a baseball bat, and it's been on video, and it didn't look too bad. And so I have experience of wherein I speak when I say, that ain't a goddamn real baseball bat. And she managed to demonstrate that by hitting her. I don't care how much I love Rhea Ripley. And it wasn't like she was trying to use a real bat and pull these. They got a balsa wood bat, and she hit her 7 times in the stomach. You would have broken all of somebody's ribs. There was no way. Then at that point, everybody in the match hit a move on everybody. And within a minute, Rhea was back up. And they were fucking going for false finishes. How can you be in the wrestling business and hit somebody with a baseball bat and then draw back to hit them again and not think, well, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done? Because if the motherfucker is still alive after you've hit him the first time with a baseball bat, you need to run. And how fake is it if you're going to hit him twice and he's not going to goddamn be carried out on oxygen? But to hit somebody 9 fucking times, what are they thinking? This is supposed to be the professionally run organization. Or did that one just slip by somebody? Did they have a producer who said, okay, go ahead and hit the girl that's going to beat you in the finish over and over with a baseball bat? Nobody will think it's fake. Am I making too much of this?
I mean, not really. It's a match where there's lots of stupid weapons being used nonstop. So maybe because of that, it didn't stand out as much to me. But, I mean, you're right. But that's one of the things of wrestling.
But anyway, Tiffy and EO then went back to the top of the corners of the cages. And it took forever because EO has to put her trash can on. And
phrasing you don't hear very often.
You don't hear those words in that order often. But so Tiffy was just standing up there, obviously waiting for a synchronized spot where she and EO wearing the trash can would jump off together. And again, there was 4 girls waiting to catch one, 4 girls waiting to catch the other, and they had to fucking all stagger together. And as Jim Ross said, coil up like quail and wait for this stupid shit. And then the one girl Tiffy dives off, and the other idiot is wearing a fucking garbage can on her head and does a back fall. And I want to know, did they draw straws to see which which ones was going to catch the fucking idiot in the garbage can? If you're 15 feet in the air and you're wearing a garbage can, Brian, and you fall off whatever you're standing on, as much as I love you as a friend, and in a platonic way, I'm getting the fuck out of the way of you. Because that garbage can is going to bust me wide fucking open from asshole to appetite. I don't want any part of it. And I fast forwarded there to the finish. It was another minute or so.
So that was it? That's what got you to fast forward?
Yes, that was it. But there was only like 2 minutes left. And then the finish was Rhea Ripley giving Liv the riptide off the top rope through a fucking table 1, 2, 3. And at least it was the right finish, but good God, as DDP might say. What I've never seen. If wrestling was arrested on a charge of fakery, then you just play this fucking match and they would be convicted on all counts. And we were 40 minutes into the show by the time that was, well, it was not 40 minutes into the show. That was 40 fucking minutes from
asshole to appetite.
Asshole to appetite. Yeah. Your closing thoughts on that closing fucking contest.
It's interesting that WWE let the two big heels for the men's and women's divisions take pinfalls in this match, almost like they think it doesn't really hurt anyone. The match was ridiculous. The women should have just been in a traditional Survivor Series match. It would have gotten everything done. But instead it was WarGames because the men have WarGames. But whenever you do something like this, it exposes the fact that there aren't a lot of elite female workers, and unfortunately, a lot of the times that just means working as good as most of the top men wrestlers. Rhea Ripley's there.
Besides that, did they have to make up for it by taking further shine off the men's match by making it comedy too, with a toilet seat and a special colored trash can and the fire extinguisher spot that we forgot?
Oh, the kendo stick was colored like Naomi.
Oh, yes, the glow in the dark fluorescent kendo stick. Well, maybe that's why that, you know, she hit her own self in the face with it. It was attracted to her.
I don't know if that's how fluorescents work. Is that how they work?
Well, yeah, it's you know, opposites attract, and DJ Hepcat will tell you that.
No, that's not who it was. It was DJ Scat Cat.
Scat Cat, Hepcat. I didn't think we could talk about scat on YouTube.
This is your
thoughts?
Show.
Yeah,
your show.
No, you were making a point that I interrupted.
You said you something about you loving scat. You wanted to sing something?
No. I said opposites attract. Because
you like Cab Calloway?
Hidey, ho.
He used to live in Point Lookout. That's right.
Hidey.
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
This match is a good example of the problems with the women just doing what the men do just because they have to, because it has to be even Steven. There aren't a lot of women who seemingly could pull this off and have again, beyond the gimmicks, it was just bad working. If you watched what was happening here. But it was also quite the spectacle, AEW style. But that was the opening match.